When I step into the spotlight, I shine like never before. Lakme Absolute Spotlight Eyeshadow Palette. 48 shades of stunning shimmer. An intense matte with velvety texture. Dazzle with shimmers. Be bold with mattes. Shine on with metallics. With rich color like never before. See yourself like never before. New Absolute Spotlight Eyeshadow Palette. Lakme Reinvent.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darshana, and I look after the sustainability initiatives at Lakme Fashion Week and IMG Reliance. I welcome you all to the 18th edition of Sustainable Fashion Day. With a consistent commitment to sustainability, Lakme Fashion Week and IMG Reliance has undertaken numerous initiatives to create a mainstream awareness for all stakeholders, while also highlighting the benefits of sustainable fashion and its impact on the social and environmental issues. With thought leadership, curatorial expertise, and valuable partnerships, we've been able to support and spotlight not just the Indian handloom sector, but we're also pioneering collaborations for startups, innovators, and retailers to catalyze the entire conscious fashion system. Circular Changemakers is India's first investment readiness program for circular and sustainable fashion startups. It is a collaboration between IntelliCap's Circular Apparel Innovation Factory and Circular Design Challenge, which is India's largest sustainable fashion award, presented by Reliance's R. Elan Fashion for Earth, Lakme Fashion Week, and United Nations Environment Program. Our objective with the Circular Changemaker program is to provide visibility to some of the most amazing and innovative circular businesses based in India, and to also facilitate strategic partnerships and help them seek funding to really propel in what they're doing. I would like to thank each one of you to make the time and join us today from different parts of the world. I would love to now hand over to Siddharth Lulla, who heads corporate strategy and enterprise engagement at CAIF. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you so much for that, Darshana. At CAIF, we are really excited that CDC and CAIF are bringing the second edition of Circular Changemakers this year, in spite of all the logistical challenges we faced given the current pandemic. Just to share a bit about what we do. So CAIF is an industry-led initiative driven by IntelliCap and supported by the Doon Foundation. We are part of the larger Avishkar Group, one of India's leading impact investment funds. As CAIF, our mission is to build capabilities and the ecosystem needed to transition to a circular textile and apparel industry. And we are building the ecosystem to search, seed, support, and scale textile and apparel innovations in India, and hence working towards creating impact at scale through providing access to capital, knowledge, networks throughout an entire innovator's journey. We do this as follows. We discover and source innovative solutions across the country by way of challenges and our networks, facilitate and implement pilots on the ground by working closely with corporates and circular innovators. The learnings are then disseminated to the industry by way of white papers, reports, webinars, as well as social media. We act as a market builder by showcasing innovations to potential investors as well as strategic partners. And we also conduct industry convenings and workshops to create awareness as well as facilitate conversations between stakeholders in the apparel and textile industry. Moving ahead with our main agenda for today, the second edition for the Circular Changemakers, and we're really excited about that. We're really excited to bring to you 6 really interesting enterprises with circular solutions across the textile and apparel value chain, which includes traceability, packaging, customer and retail model, end use, as well as a very interesting innovative technology solution. These enterprises have been selected from a large number of applications which came across the country. And we feel that we have shortlisted some of the best innovators that were already out there. From a format perspective, each innovator will be given 10 minutes, which will include a 5-minute presentation, followed by a 5-minute Q&A by the panel. Well, thank you so much to our panelists who are here today. Our panel today comprises of a mix of business leaders and key investors with a focus on India as well as other emerging markets. We're extremely glad to have them on board. We have Mr. Vineet Gautam, CEO of Bestseller India, Ms. Marike Lenders, Head of the Reweek Program, Circular Fashion at OnView, Ms. Pinar Adimoglu, Investment Director, Sagana Capital, which is headquartered in Switzerland, as well as Ms. Disha Gandhi, Associate Director for Avishkar Capital. A big thank you to all of you all, dear panelists, to make it today. And great, so without any further ado, let's start with our presentations. For our first presentation, we have Parth Patil from Infinity Chains. So Parth is building an end-to-end traceability solution for the entire cotton supply chain. Parth, please go ahead.
Thank you, Siddharth. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be talking about the end-to-end traceability system we have built for sustainable cotton. So I will give a little bit background on the problem we are trying to solve. So we all know that conventional cotton is a big part of the fashion and textile industry. But conventional cotton takes a massive amount of water to grow. It consumes huge amount of pesticides, and it causes huge amounts of pollution because of the dyeing practices that are used with conventional cotton, and not to mention the social issues associated with this. So most brands recognize this, and they have made huge commitments to move from conventional cotton to sustainable cotton by 2025. But this is a massive commitment, and to meet these commitments, they lack the right tools. So what I mean by that? So to achieve these commitments, the brands need an unprecedented visibility into their supply chain to be confident that they are indeed sourcing sustainable cotton. But in today's supply chains, the data is fragmented and siloed across the value chain. So on the farm side, the data is managed on paper. On the factory, it is in SAP systems. And then there are bespoke systems on the retail and distribution side. Because of this, the brand doesn't have a unified end-to-end visibility. So they cannot ascertain that what they are sourcing is indeed sustainable cotton. So the way we have solved it is by building a system that bridges these data silos and brings all of this data together and offers a unified comprehensive view. So by bringing all the data together, we are able to offer such an end-to-end visualization to a brand. So here, this is an example of a 100% organic cotton based t-shirt. So a brand can click into the purchase order they received. They can inspect the details at every stage of the value chain. They can look at the certificates associated with the semi-finished goods. And if the data is available, they can even go all the way till the farmers from whom the cotton was sourced and see that these farmers are also certified organic. So this helps them be confident that what they are purchasing is indeed sustainable cotton, and they can confidently make these claims to their retail consumers. We also provide mobile applications that the end retail consumers can use to check this traceability information themselves. So the fashion market is a huge $2.5 trillion market. Cotton is around 500 billion out of this, and the sustainable cotton market out of this is around 200 billion by 2025. As far as traction, so we have good traction so far since 2018. We started. We have around 150,000 organically certified farmers who are growing cotton, whose data is being tracked on our system. We have 90,000 tons of organic cotton that flows through our system. We are on track to handle 1 million SKUs this year. 16 customers, paying customers. Some of the customers are Wellspun, Pratibha Syntex Limited, Patagonia. The business model. So fashion brands are the one who gain the most from the system. So they are the only ones who pay for this platform. There is a one-time setup and integration fee in the beginning. And then there is a recurring volume-based pricing, which ranges from 5 cents per garment to 8 cents per garment. And the system is free to use for the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers that the fashion brand works with. So the adoption should be quick. Our competition, so our biggest competition is still the paper and Excel based systems that are prevalent in the ecosystem. So this is what is being used today for traceability. Secondly, there are traditional companies like SAP, Oracle, who build generic traceability systems, but these are are not tailored for sustainable cotton, and a huge amount of work is needed to make them work for cotton. Then there are some newer players who are building traceability systems on blockchain the way we are doing it, but then they lack the depth that we have brought to our platform. This is the team, me, Jitesh, we are the co-founders. We have more than 15 years of experience working in Silicon Valley. We have founded companies before. Jitesh sold his company to Google 5 years back. We have capable people handling our engineering. Our head of sales comes from deep agri-tech background. We have advisors all over the world who advise us on customer relations and go-to-market strategies in different geographies. We have received numerous recognitions in big publications. We have spoken at reputable conferences like Horace's Techstars. We are part of Fashion for Good Accelerator. Financials, so we are on track to do 200K ARR this year. We raised 2.4 million in seed in August 2018. We have at least 18 months of runway, and we expect to grow 100% year on year for the next 3 years. So the fund requirement, we are asking for $5 million is what we are planning to raise. Out of that, 40% is going to be used on product, 25 on sales, 15 on marketing, 10 on legal. Future roadmap, we think the cotton ecosystem is huge. There is huge opportunity to build a marketplace around sourcing sustainable cotton-based goods. Certificate management is another massive opportunity. We are solving part of the problem today, but we want to double down on that and offer a more comprehensive solution. And we also want to get into direct to consumer for sustainable cotton. Thank you.
Any questions from the jury, please?
Siddharth, can I take a question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, Parth, thanks a lot. This is very exciting and very innovative, must say. So, a couple of questions. One is, how much time does it take for you to convert a customer? What's the sales lead time? And second is, how much time do you estimate in integration once you get a contract or close a sales deal? How much time does it take for you to integrate your solution?
Good question, Disha. So what we have seen is typically it is under 2 months once they have signed the contract, and mainly the time taken is basically working with the different tier 1, 2, 3 suppliers in the supply chain, and also in many cases where deep integration is not needed and the data is available, let's say in the form of Excel files that we can bring in, it takes even shorter, on the order of a month.
Parth, this is Vineet. Interesting concept. As a retailer, I know this is the biggest pain point retailers have and brands have. I just wanted to understand, you're trying to raise capital, but what is your roadmap in terms of turnover? What is your North Star? And how many customers do you need, or how many volumes do you need to get there? Is there some data on that part which you could share? Because for me, that will be the key part.
Correct. So our goal, honestly, is to become the one-stop solution for sustainable cotton. Like we see, basically, just the sustainable cotton is a massive market. We are tackling one portion of it, but we feel confident that we can penetrate like other like associated areas in this vertical. And from our calculation, like if we grow 100% year on year for the next 3 to 5 years, we are in a good spot, and we are on track to do 200K this year. And what we have is quite unique. We have talked to several people. Nothing comes close to the depth that we have. We have worked on the ground with various people, and we understand the problems of this ecosystem. So to answer your question, like 100% growth is what we're looking for year on year.
Great. So now we have a very interesting, presentation. A very interesting entrepreneur. So Fabio is an indigenously designed 100% biodegradable plastic made from organic waste. It's been incubated at IIT. We have Sukanya Dixit, who is the founder of Fabio, with us to share about her company. Sukanya, over to you.
So to start with, a very famous author once said, the biggest threat to nature is the belief that someone else will save it. 2 years back, we started Fabio with the intention of being that someone else. And we make 100% biodegradable plastics from organic waste. It's a very innovative biomaterial known as PHA, which we can extract from bacteria or the microbes. So coming to the problem, we all know plastic is a wonderful material. It is durable, resistant, and has so many applications. But we also know that recycling is a solution to plastics. But one look at the ocean says it all. We are clearly not doing enough. So the bottom line is we need replacements to conventional plastics. But these replacements, the current replacements also have certain problems. Most of them are made from edible resources, which again increases the cost of those bioplastics. Moreover, they are also not completely biodegradable, and they biodegrade under industrial conditions at a specific temperature and pressure. So the solution that we provide is converting waste byproducts from various industries, the beer, brewery industry waste, sugar industry waste, and also food and beverage waste through a patented process into resins of our biopolymer. We use 30% less chemicals and water, and our life cycle analysis says that we generate 6 times lesser carbon footprint. We also generate certain value-added byproducts, which can be an added source of revenue for us. The properties of the resins generated are similar to conventional polypropylene and polyethylene plastics. The resins are also adaptable with the current extrusion machineries for producing different kinds of products. And the most important part is biodegradability. It's home compostable as well as marine compostable. It degrades in the soil or in water bodies within 120 days. Thanks to the physical properties, our pellets can find applications in a lot of different industries, ranging from textile fibers to flexible packaging, including shopping bags, films, and 3D printing inks. And another very interesting application that we discovered was the cosmetic microbeads. So the fact that excites us the most is that we see a clear shift in the growth rate of the plastic and the bioplastic market. So if you notice, the plastic market is growing at 3% and the bioplastic market is growing at 21.7%, which I feel is very good for us because people are now easily accepting more eco-friendlier products. Coming to the competition, yes, there are a few large-scale PHA manufacturers in the world. There is Danimer in the US and a few companies in China and Japan. But we are at par, if not better, with most of these companies in terms of properties such as strength, barrier, and processing. And what's interesting is that we are at the current scale, we are at a cost which is lower than these companies, which is $5 a kg. And we believe that as we scale up, we'll be able to reduce the cost further and bring it down to be competitive with current plastics. We are currently doing our pilot trials. We have sent out samples to a few companies to get their feedback. And we are also working with breweries to upcycle their waste byproducts into our biopolymers. Coming to the milestones, of course, this was an uphill journey. Every technology has 9 levels of readiness which it has to undergo. We are currently at TRL 6, where we are working on the pilot scale plant and developing our prototypes in the IIT Kanpur facility. We are incubated over there. And we are also part of the Fashion Forward Top 9 Innovators cohort currently. We have also won several national and international competitions with our idea and innovation. By early 2021, the first quarter, we aim to put all approvals in place and complete the pilot scale studies and start fundraising for the larger scale plan. All of this has been achievable by putting together a very strong team. I am a trained biotechnologist, a graduate from IIT Roorkee, and I have been working mainly on the technical and the product development side. Anmol and Rishabh are my co-founders, and they are helping me with the business and operations side of our team. We also have industry seniors and mentors from various reputed institutes of India on our board. The current stage which we are at is the R&D and product development or pilot scale stage. We are bootstrapping our way to achieve that through various grants from the government of India and winning awards from various agencies in India and abroad. Post that, we'll be raising a seed fund, which will be around $1.8 million for building a 300-ton plant. We see a continuous increase in revenue as and when we scale up, even in the 300 metric ton plant and as we scale up to the 3,000 metric ton plant, along with technology licensing, which adds to revenues. So Yeah, that's about it, and that's why we go by the tagline redefining plastics. In the sense that not everything that is plastic needs to remain in the nature forever, and it can degrade in a few days. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sukanya. I think fantastic what you have been able to achieve. Two questions. I think the biggest challenge which I foresee is a lot of people don't understand the difference between plastic and bioplastic, especially in India. I don't know abroad. And how will you convince the government and the authorities that this is degradable and so it can be used for single use? That's one part of the question. And second is when will you break even with this investments of seed capital and when the plant goes up?
Yeah, right. So in the 300-ton plant, our projections say that we'll be able to break even by the third year of operations. We'll be able to generate the same revenues and break even by the third year within in the 300-ton plant itself, and subsequently do a fundraise for the 3,000 metric. Because scale up happens usually in a 1:100 or 1:10 ratio, so that's the idea of scale up.
Got it. Pinar, Marike, any questions from your side as well?
Thank you so much. That was very, very helpful and very interesting. Just one question. How does your product compare against conventional plastic in terms of cost?
In terms of cost, so with the current bioplastics that are there, we are at par. Like if it is $5 for the current PLA material that is sold, we are also at the same cost even at the current scale. But our projections for the large scale say that we'll be able to reach up to 1.5 times of conventional plastic.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And how do you plan to overcome this? I mean, that might be an issue for mass purchasers, particularly.
Yes, maybe. But I think with the rising eco-consciousness and also EU imposing bans, I think the majority of the focus is right now on adopting more greener materials. And I think if there are government subsidies and there are policies which can help us, I think we can reduce the cost further.
Great. So now we have another very interesting enterprise. We have Sujata Chatterjee, who's the founder of Twirl.store. So Twirl is solving the problem of excess clothing waste by benefiting society and environment at every step. She has an interesting retail model that she's working on. Sujata, over to you. Please share about your enterprise.
Hi, I'm Sujata. I'm the founder of Twirl.store, and we are here to solve the problem of excess clothing. How many of you have some unwanted clothes in your wardrobe which you're probably never going to use again? I do. And the problem is not limited to just you and me. In the age of a retail boom, modern consumers are shopping more, leading to overflowing wardrobes, and they don't know what to do with the excess. For brands and retailers, they have piles of factory rejects, dead stock, and they need a better way than to just dump it. In fact, the World Economic Forum states that up to 60% of clothes being produced nowadays are probably lying around unused and may eventually end up in a landfill. At the same time, in a country like India, we know there are lakhs of people who struggle to find basic clothing. And there are so many talented women who need a decent source of livelihood. Last but not the least is the effect on the environment, because every time a fabric is made, it takes such a lot of gallons and gallons of water. So to solve all these socio-environmental issues, we came with the concept of Twirl.store. At Twirl, we encourage everyone to send their unwanted clothing to us. Customers are rewarded with points which they can redeem to buy new things from us. But with all the unwanted clothing that Twirl receives, we either donate it as clothing to those who need it in the slums and villages, or we upcycle it as a fabric to make new products out of it. This entire work of upcycling or reusing the good part is all being done by the rural women, thus giving them a source of livelihood. Our talented women manufacturers make products in the range of bags, accessories, gift items, and all these get sold online, offline, as part of bulk orders and also find place in corporate gifting. For an organization, Twirl.store can let you reutilize more of what you already have. For many organizations, our Twirl products are the cost-effective yet eco-friendly alternative that they were looking for. We've already engaged with organizations like the Future Group, Senco Golden Diamonds, Khader, Intuit, and many others across the country. For a busy, working, modern customer, 12 Store is the easy but rewarding solution to their overcrowded wardrobe. But being part of the process, they also feel socially responsible. And when they embrace our upcycled products, it also fulfills their desire to stand out in the crowd. The circular model that 12 Store has adopted has received a lot of love and a lot of recognition, including the Devi Award from Mrs. Smriti Irani, our Union Minister, a felicitation at the Tata Social Enterprise Challenge at IIM Kolkata. We've also been named as an industry disruptor by DO School Berlin and UN Women. The positive work that we're doing for society has been mentioned by the Outlook magazine, the Telegraph, and the media houses across the country. We're very proud to say we're part of Startup India and NASSCOM 10,000 startups. But at 12 Store, our biggest motivation is the smiles we see on the faces of those whose lives we've been able to impact. In just 2 years, we've been able to distribute over 3,000 clothing to needy people. And by selling handcrafted products, we're ensuring skill development and sustenance for rural women. 12 Store is led by myself, Sujata Chatterjee. I'm an engineer by degree, but a social entrepreneur by choice. And Team 12 is a symbol of women empowerment, with every role in the organization being done by ladies from different backgrounds. 12 is committed to serving both B2B and B2C sectors. However, our focus will remain on B2B, where we get 80% of our revenue till 2022. 2023 onwards, we plan to go deep into the B2C segment, which will help us reach 10 million by 2026. And growth of 12 Store actually means a bigger social impact, because there will be more clothes available for distribution and a lot more work for our talented craftswomen. 12 Store has been operating as a self-funded lean startup, but we now seek your support to increase our team, scale our production, and for marketing expenses. We're also looking for strategic partnerships with brands and retailers and collaborations with other organizations so that we can have a bigger social impact. We hope you will support us on this journey, because together we can all twirl to a better world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sujata. Panelists, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. And I think this is really an example of a circular business model, of course, where you reuse a part of the waste, so-called waste, and repair and upcycle. So I think it's it very fits in the present times. And I was very much wondering, because I understand the concept, but I find it so difficult to see how you would grow this in terms of distribution and collection and getting a sense of the business model behind it. The pricing, etc. That's a bit unclear to me still. So I'm very curious to hear more about that from you.
Absolutely. So as of now, 12 Store has been operating from our central office. So all the collection that we do across the country comes there, where the the most important part of it is the sorting and the segregation. Yeah. And post that, it goes into the upcycling unit, where it is upcycled into different products. But as we seek to scale and grow, we would plan to have 2 or 3 such central offices in various parts, so that they would then serve as the collection point for each of those regions. And this is a model that is very easily replicated, and it's a people intensive model, but so we will be just involving a lot more women into the circle, but it is so easily to set up and replicate in various cities or countries across the world.
Pinar, you had a question also, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Sujata. I could clearly see how you're so passionate about solving this problem. So it was a pleasure listening to you. As you're thinking about scaling up, how do you plan to acquire more of your B2B customers?
I think we just need to, reach out to more brands and retailers. The problem is pertinent, and now the fashion industry itself is moving in that direction, with a lot of brands like H&M and Levi's all, asking their customers only to return, whatever they don't need, and they're themselves considering what best can be done with them. So I think, this is the opportune moment where this facility can be offered to a lot of retailers and brands, and I think they will embrace it. So we have been operating as a small startup, but as we plan to scale, we will be reaching out to all these brands and seeing how we can partner with them and help them in this route to sustainability.
Thank you so much, Sujata. Hi, welcome, Laksh. So now we have Desi Hangover. Desi Hangover is a very interesting brand with a very large social impact. And Laksh can definitely do a very good job in terms of explaining what they do, but essentially it's conscious fashion for your feet by giving local artisans an access to global markets.
So good afternoon, everyone. Desi Hangover basically creates conscious fashion for your feet. How we do this is by creating global market access for over 70 artisan cobblers, 50 of whom are women or treated equally, be it pay, scales, or opportunity. These are the people who make these beautiful handcrafted shoes. So all of you might be aware of the Kolhapuri chappal, at least being I'm assuming you would be aware of it. So Kolhapuri chappal is a pretty famous footwear in India. And when Hitesh and I, my co-founder, went on an internship to Egypt, we had a pair of it, and there were 20 nationalities who pounded upon it, and they really wanted it. We came back to India, and we started exploring where these footwear are made. So they're actually made around the city of Kolhapur in these clusters, and our area of impact is Athni, which is on the extreme right. So when we went to these villages to find who makes these shoes, so these were scattered house units producing 30, 40, 50, 60 units, very scattered, displaced units, small households. You'll go to one household, you'd want a design, they'd give you a size 9, it won't fit into the other household. And all of them very underconfident, would generally refer you to a middleman and ask us that, go to the middleman and see if you can actually buy products from them. These middlemen would just sell these products to local establishments who would eventually sell it for a $7 or $8 price tag. Very bad made product, but the craft is really important. It's an 8th century old craft. Middlemen would make most of the money, and an artisan would not make more than $1 a day. Now that was a big problem because we saw that the actual market is actually a global market which is addressing and wanting these products, but where they are selling is local establishments, and the product lacks innovation. So this is the kind of setup that there was when we started the project. Then we decided that, why can't we do a reverse strategy? So today, if a Fab India wants the products, or a global store in Singapore wants a product, or if we want to sell it to a young professional in India, how do we do it? So we have to create a product which actually makes sense. So we put up a design team at the Desi Hangover distribution unit who actually speaks to the market. The inputs come back, and then those inputs flow down to our common facility center, which facilitates training, machinery, and all the required equipment for the artisans. And these artisans provide inputs, and eventually the products are created. These products are shipped back to our distribution unit and then dispatched across to the globe. Now Desi Hangover's setup looks somewhere like this, wherein all the machinery, clicker machines, and all the respective machineries are also available in the common facility center. About the sales channel, this is how Desi Hangover looks as a brand. So we currently sell in India, Singapore, US, and Malaysia via partner retail stores, our online channel, as well as the e-commerce partners. And we also white label for Fab India. It's been a year and a half since we started the project, and we already have Manyavar and Raymond's in pipeline in India. This is how our revenues look like. So this pie chart refers to the revenues in the year 2019-2020, wherein we did $212,000 of revenue. We plan to touch $271,000 this year, and going ahead, move on to $1 million in 2021-22 and to 3.85 million in 22-23. If you'd see here, the MSRP of the product is constantly on a rise. And the reason for that is because we were a retail heavy model, wherein a lot of our margins would go to the retailers, but we are shifting to more of a direct to customer channel and also global markets, which we've already piloted in India, US, Singapore, and Malaysia. In terms of average revenue per shoe, it's also constantly rising, and so are the gross margins. So is the leather upcycle, which is the vegetable tan leather, which is in proportion to the number of pairs sold. What makes us a conscious fashion brand? In the past 6 years of our operation, we've contributed $500,000 to the community in terms of wages, revenue, training, operating a school in the village, and the other services that we provide out there. We've empowered over 70 artisans, gotten them out of bonded labor and out of poverty. And we educate their children, which is 100 of them, and we've upcycled around 50,000 square feet of leather till date. This is an interesting factor that you might to see. When we started the operation, the average age of artisan was really high, and that the reason was there was no innovation in the ecosystem. Most of the kids from this village would go to a city like Bombay, and they would work as laborers. But now we've seen when they're seeing the opportunity, the average age is actually dropping because a lot of them are coming back and they're seeing the growth in the earnings as well. And now, especially because of the COVID lockdown, a lot of these youngsters have gone back to the village and they are, wanting to work with us. So we are hoping that the average age would go down further and the income would rise as our revenues rise with it. Uh, so we currently are in a pre-growth stage. We found the product market fit. We are looking to raise $200,000. Most of this money is going to create a direct-to-customer channel. So the money is basically spent on our digital ad spends, which will be contributing to revenue back, and then branding and communication. Rest would be salaries and admin and some working capital requirement that we have. About the team, it's Hitesh, Abha, and I who are the part of the core team, and then we have partnered agencies. Also, there are certain organizations like Acumen India, Facebook Community Boost, Unlimited India, and Stanford Seed backing us in the project. There's this last part of this is the pilot that we are doing. So we realize that a lot of excitement comes in people when they listen to our story, when they see that who is this artisan who made these shoes and what happened, with the shoe, right from the upcycling of leather to the final product sale. So we realized that if we could add traceability to the shoe, so we use the RFID technology. We are currently piloting it. Currently, it is costing us $1 behind every shoe. And we provided an RFID chip within the shoe and developed an app. So you can just tap your phone and actually track who made your shoes, what's the impact that you're creating. And we'll further narrow it down and see how we can retain more customers and actually start a stronger referral program from this kind of a technology. Thank you. That would be it.
Lakshay, fantastic. I think it's something good you do to the community. I hear from you that the investment you require now is on the B2C model, which is the website or the app or whatever you like to create. What are your primary markets that you're targeting? And I have a further question to that once I get to answer that.
So Vineet, with this raise, we are currently targeting India, Singapore, and US as the markets. We've already piloted our website, which we launched last year in October. And we are doing currently, and that is actually a benefit because in COVID, we are just running by that. So, and we've done some pilot ad spends in US and Singapore as well. So these will be the three primary markets for sales.
My question further to this was because I thought so that your B2C will be a lot more targeted to India. You are trying to set it at a $42 price, where a Kolhapuri chappal otherwise will be maybe available for a $10 to a $15, maybe $20 across the market, and the distribution will be very, very heavy because there are several companies who do it. Maybe you have the artisan story, which is fine, but the customer is not ready to pay 4 times the money for a story. So how will you get access to so many more consumers? Because $200,000 is a lot of money then.
So unfortunately, I can't have the products placed in front of you guys. But, like the thing that differentiates us from Tom's is specifically that a lot of our effort has actually, the first 2 years of the company has actually gone into product development. We rather have a patent pending on the back of the product as well. So the biggest problem with the traditional Kolhapuri chappal is the comfort, standardization in size, and the kind of longevity that it could have. We've addressed all of those issues. And rather we have a patent pending part of providing comfort on the back of the shoe, wherein shoe bites is a very major issue in such a craft. So actually we sell the product and then we propagate the story, hence the RFID comes later. It's just a benefit that we provide to people. So our shoes are actually at par. Our shoes are as good in quality as a Birkenstock would be, and we are 30% cheaper than that.
Great. Thanks a ton for that, Lakshay. Yeah, so we have a very interesting enterprise now. Essentially, this is where fashion meets upcycling. So we have Pair1 Studio. So Pair1 is an innovative textile upcycling company which creates very well designed textiles for brands as well as for designers. Ashita, over to you. Please take it forward.
Good afternoon. I'm Ashita. I'm a weaver, designer, and a social entrepreneur. Today I'm presenting Pair1. Pair1 is a unique textile studio through which we are weaving a change by upcycling fabric waste into meaningful textiles. I'm a commerce graduate who later joined design. Like all the aspiring fashion design student, I was also attracted to the glamour part of fashion. Soon enough, I realized the problems associated with it. The biggest realization hit me when I was asked to produce a piece of clothing. I was shocked to see how much wastage our batch of 30 students could create within just 3 hours. I kept wondering what's happening in the industry at large and how are they dealing with this issue. In 2017, I interned with a luxury design label in India. I saw that the designers were conscious enough and they were not actually throwing away the waste, but rather storing it. They wanted to upcycle it, but they did not have enough time or resources to do so. So I took this as an opportunity. I collaborated with them for my graduation collection and started to weave their waste on handloom through Indian weavers locally based in Delhi. And I developed the first prototype for Pairwand, which was also my graduation collection. In 2018, I won a grant of $25,000 by James McGuire to support this business plan. In 2019, we officially launched Pairwand Studio with a team of 4 weavers and 6 assorting workers. Today, Pairwand collaborates with fashion brands and provides them solutions for their textile waste issues. The process starts from sourcing the textile waste, which comes to us from different fashion brands, designers, artisans, hotel chains, etc. Then it is cleaned and assorted as per different color and fiber type. It is then ironed and cut into strips. The strips are joined together to form bobbins, and then it is the final fabric is further developed on a handloom. The final fabric, the repurposed fabric, is then sold back to the designers or the fashion brands at a higher value, and so that they can create an upcycled, sustainable range for their clientele. I, along with my team, help these fashion brands in designing the repurposed fabric. The possibilities to use these textiles remain endless for them. I describe Pairwand's clientele as somebody who's sensitive towards environment, who's sensible while reusing the waste, and focuses on sustainable growth, not only environmentally, but also economically. Our business model is unique as our source of raw material is also the end customer for our fabric. In 2019-20, we have already collaborated with 15 different fashion brands and 4 multi-designer stores for our retail. We are currently in the pilot phase of launching recycled yarns. We are doing this research and collaboration with Vana Retreat and Billa Cellulose TRADC. So the idea is to create recycled yarn out of the waste that comes out of from hospitality industry. By 2023, we plan to upcycle 70,000 kgs of waste. We have a diverse team of weavers and artisans who are the backbone of this company. We also have a well-qualified board of advisors who have been the backbone of, who have been the guiding forces for us since day one. Our revenue model is divided into 3 categories: textiles, yarn, and retail. At present, 60% of our revenue comes from textiles and 40% from retail. Retail for us is a high margin area. And by 2023, when our yarn project is established, we plan to get 37% of our revenue from yarns, 39% from textiles, and remaining from retail. In 2021, we plan to increase our production scale by adding 10 more looms, pushing more products in our retail segment, and also launching the pilot project for the yarns. We are expecting a 17% positive EBITDA. We plan to cross our 1 million sales revenue mark by 23. Till now, we've been able to upcycle 800 kgs of waste by producing more than 2,000 meters of handwoven fabric. We don't use any chemicals or fertilizers during our process. We have previously raised $25,000 and now we are looking to raise $60,000, parts of which would be spent on infrastructure, building a new team, and operational cost. I would like to end this presentation on a thought: great things done by a series of small things brought together. In order to make this planet livable, I request all the people to start collaborating and start looking at waste as a resource. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashita. Panelists, over to you. Any questions, Disha?
Yeah.
Mari?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm very curious because these fabrics really look beautiful. I think they're also very unique. If you see it, that it's a unique proposition in the market. Also very curious how you exactly. Yeah, it's really beautiful. And what I can imagine is that because you said, okay, so this is our proposition, and we buy it from our customers, and then we sell it back to them, the waste. And we're also now looking into recycling yarn. So what I see is that this is quite unique, but also I can imagine that it's difficult for you to scale this and that you're therefore looking at recycling. But how are you then, what is the unique about this recycling yarns? Are you having a new technology, or are you working with existing technology partners, and what makes Zenpai One unique if you scale this?
Actually, we're planning to build an ecosystem where all kinds of textile waste can be recycled. Right now, textiles are quite exclusive and cannot be used in a certain products. So we are looking to create a plain fabric also through recycled yarn project, and we are trying to make a higher quality of yarn. Right now in the industry, all the people who are working on recycled yarns are downscaling the quality of the yarn. So we are working especially in collaboration with Birla Cellulose and TRADC in India, so that we can create a high quality yarn which can go up in the value chain rather than using it in a downward product. We are planning to push it towards the high fashion part of it, and also it can be used again by the hospitality industry or any industry for that matter in using in their products.
Thanks for the presentation. I think the designs look really, really nice and it's very cool. Just a question on the production process. It seems like a very manual process of sorting out the colors, cutting everything. How can it be automated in some way in the future for you to be a bit more efficient in the production process?
To bring that efficiency, we are actually trying to work on the hospitality industry where we can get the waste in assorted color types, and we don't have to do the assorting process much. And also I feel like being an entrepreneur who's in India, I want to use more and more people in my production process, because otherwise this is the way we can generate more employment and impact more lives.
Ashita, great presentation. Thank you so much. We can move to the next presentation. So now we have a very interesting technology innovation. We have Shivang Desai, who's the founder of Big Things. Big Things is an innovative human body artificial intelligence-based solution to significantly reduce apparel waste. Over to you, Shivang.
Thank you, Siddharth. So Big Things, as Siddharth explained, uses artificial intelligence in fashion and retail around human body data. So what people do is when they buy and return products, this causes a big problem in the entire supply chain. Now, many people buy multiple sizes and return a lot of these clothes. And this is a huge cost, both from a sustainability standpoint, but also from an economic standpoint. And 41% of consumers actually know before buying that they're actually going to return a piece of clothing. And 89% of people have returned a piece of clothing that they bought online in the past 3 years. This returned merchandise cost US retailers $309 billion in lost sales last year. And 84% of these end up destroyed. What our products do is that they use a body scan using just a mobile device with 2 photos of yourself. This derives 44 precise body measurements in less than 1 second. You can use these measurements for tailor-made clothing, but you can also, more importantly, use them to find out your size in any brand, anywhere in the world. So any product that you're looking at, you'll know exactly your size and fit data for that product. The premium version goes a step further and also uses a selfie of your face in addition to the body scan, and it creates a virtual avatar that looks and measures exactly like you. Our AI also automatically creates digital clothing from 2D pictures so that you can try on this digital clothing at a fraction of the cost of normal methods. You can change the size, see the fit, look, and drape. And so when you buy, you don't end up returning it because you know exactly how it's going to be in real life. The data that's gathered along this helps the entire supply chain. One is by helping brands design better to suit their customers' body types. The second is production of only those sizes and as many of each size as is actually going to sell. Pre-selling before manufacturing so that there's only production on demand after the customers have actually tried on the clothing. And the holy grail of fashion, which is mass customization, where before leaving the warehouse, clothing is altered and tailored so it fits the customers perfectly, no matter whether it's fast fashion or mass produced. From a sustainability standpoint, when you take these numbers into account, what this system can result in doing is saving 52 trillion liters of fresh water a year and 136 billion kilograms of CO2, just using the methods that described here already. And from an economic standpoint, this results in a 90%, well, up to a 90% reduction in returns, a 20% increase in order values, and a 250% greater rate of conversion when using 3D products in a virtual medium. And the reason that this is currently prevalent in the market is because of certain drivers, mainly technological maturity, because this has been a problem that existed for a while, but until now, the technology just was not good enough to support it. There's also factors such as demand for sustainability and the prevalence for online shopping. And we just cannot ignore COVID-19, which has been a complete system shift towards technological adoption in the fashion industry and around the world. Our market size that we're looking at in the body scanning is about $14 billion, out of which we are targeting an addressable market of $1 billion. And in the digital avatars or virtual twins space, we are targeting a market, we have a market size of $43 billion and targeting $2 billion worth out of it. The customers that we're dealing with are fashion retailers with over $1 million in annual recurring revenues and a very young user base. The business model that we are talking about here is very straightforward. Fashion retailers use our APIs, which plug into their websites or apps. The integration in most cases takes less than 1 day, and they are billed a recurring revenue every month as a package or a subscription fee on the basis of which their consumers can use these systems and derive the benefits. The founders are myself and Chandralika. Now, in my case, I've been a serial entrepreneur for the past 14 years. I founded 4 prior companies with successful exits in India and the US. In Chandralika's case, she went down the corporate route, becoming the brand head of a Singapore-based multinational corporation before joining Big Things full-time and starting this up. Our advisors include very renowned names in the media, fashion, and artificial intelligence world, particularly one who's an artificial intelligence professor and is also an Oscar Award winner for his work in VFX and graphics. We've won the world's biggest awards for AI, including the best use of AI in fashion at the awards.ai in London, and others from Amazon, China, and several other places. And we're part of several programs, Startup Bootcamp in Italy, Target Accelerators in the US, K-Gap from Japan, and have other partners, including Fashion Ovation and LIM College from New York. On the economic standpoint, our unit economics on the body scanning have a gross profit margin of around 99%. And on the virtual avatars and digital clothing are close to 90%. Both of these are witnessing hockey stick growth right now, and we are currently growing at 300% month on month. We are currently raising a round of funding as well, and this is of a 1 million pre-series A, 40% of which is towards sales and marketing to fuel our growth, and 30% towards product development. I'm happy to take questions at this point.
Thank you so much, Shivang. That is very interesting. Panelists, over to you.
Thanks, Shivang. I think your gross margin numbers are quite impressive. If you can sort of explain how do you get to that level of, whether your pre-operative costs or developing this technology have been factored into this, what's the math behind it?
Absolutely. So the costs that have been factored into this are the variable costs, which are primarily our costs on cloud computing, and the fixed costs, which are the costs of salaries and the team that we have. Apart from this, our business has almost no costs, and that's what's been factored into the final primary numbers. The reason we're able to achieve this at the same market rates that any competitors are offering is because of much more advanced technology that works faster and cheaper.
And what's the cost of your technology team and the size of the technology team today?
We are a 10-person team based out of Bangalore. 8 of us are technologists. 2 of us, including Chandralika, are on the marketing side.
I guess I'm wondering about the consumer sentiment around using this technology. I mean, I wouldn't be comfortable taking my picture and uploading it to websites if I know that there's not much data protection. So have you done a consumer survey, or do you know anything about the acceptance from the consumers on this technology?
Yeah, so from a privacy standpoint, we are GDPR compliant, We work primarily in Europe at this point. And when we work with the client, we get a deed of appointment to process and store their data. Again, all of this data is securely stored in an encrypted format on servers hosted with AWS. So we benefit from their protection and security as well. And finally, when you're taking pictures, they're actually processed and deleted instantly. We never store your pictures. Nobody ever sees them. It's processed by a machine in milliseconds and deleted. So the only thing that we actually have at the end of it is numeric data, which is then stored in an encrypted format. When this is clearly communicated to consumers, we found that in most cases, they actually don't have a problem. And in the cases that they do have a problem, we are working on different systems, such as deriving their body measurements or size data based on past purchases and so on.
Thank you so much, Shivang. We're going to be seeing now. Great. So these were the 6 Changemakers panelists, and thank you so much for making it with us. I'm going to invite Mr. Jaspreet Chandrok, who's heading lifestyle business for IMGR, to share his concluding remarks.
Thank you, Siddharth, and thank you for the partnership with IntelliCap and Circular Apparel Innovation Factory. Thank you all the panelists for being here, taking a couple of hours out to see what's happening in India in the sustainability space. Just wanted to speak a little bit about IMGR and Lakme Fashion Week and how we've embarked on this journey. About 5 years back, when a new team came into the Fashion Week, one of the things that we realized was that with the work that we're doing at Fashion Week, each season, we reach out to about 50 million people in our communications in India. And with that kind of reach, with that kind of span of conversation, one of the things that we did want to push the pedal on was inclusivity and sustainability. And that's the journey that we actually began with. And it actually kind of challenges the norm of what a traditional fashion week should be. If you see fashion weeks, in India or globally, a lot of it is about business of fashion and the business of designers. I think the first thing that we did was look at the fashion week as a complete value chain, where you're looking at the craftsman, because it's quintessentially Indian. 95% of all hand-woven fabrics in the world are hand-woven in India. It's the second largest employer of people in the country after agriculture. And then you start looking at the fiber manufacturers, you start looking at the fabric manufacturers, you start looking at the design talent that we have. And in the end, you start looking at retailers as well. In fact, for the longest time, the traditional high street retail industry was actually not the right word to discuss in a fashion week, because all you wanted to look at were, designers with their 2 stores and their, hundreds of garments sold. But when you're having a conversation on sustainability, it has to encompass the entire value chain. And that's something that we strive towards over the last 5 odd years. And that's when we realized that a lot of programs that we're doing were focusing on innovation and design versus innovation in technology and innovation in supply chain. And that's what, that's the space that we wanted to actually fill with Circular Changemakers. And, we're glad to, I think these things have significant meaning if even one of these, through the platforms that we provide, reaches a certain scale that actually makes a significant difference. And I think that's what our aim is by, providing platforms to these, young entrepreneurs. And thank you all for your time. And I'm sure, the work that you're doing, across the world is also creating those impacts. And I think it's great to have all your inputs as well, for us. Thank you.